Okay, let's just jump right in. For years, the whole idea of a quantum computer breaking our security has felt, well, kind of like science fiction, right? Something way off in the future. But a huge announcement just hit, and it completely reset the timeline for our digital world. And it came from the one company you absolutely cannot ignore. And this quote, it just says it all, doesn't it? This isn't some analyst in a report or a random academic paper. This is a direct message from Google, one of the key players actually building these quantum computers. When the people designing the ultimate lockpick tell you it's time to change your locks, you really should listen. So here's the bombshell. Google has officially said it will finish its move to what's called post-quantum cryptography, or PQC, by 2029. And get this, not start the transition, complete it. This is a colossal engineering challenge, and that 2029 date is way, way sooner than pretty much anyone was expecting.
Now, to really get why this is such a big deal, you have to see it in context. Look at the official government timelines from NIST. That's the National Institute of Standards and Technology. They're not even planning to phase out old algorithms until 2030, with a hard stop in 2035. Even Microsoft is aiming for 2033. Google is putting itself a full year ahead of the very first government milestone. That's not just aggressive, that's a massive acceleration.
So, what's the big rush? Why is Google hitting the accelerator so hard? Well, it all boils down to this invisible threat that's not in the future, it's already happening today. It's this concept called store now, decrypt later. You might also hear it called harvest now, decrypt later. The idea is simple and terrifying. Adversaries, like state actors, are scooping up and recording enormous amounts of our encrypted internet data right now. They can't read it today, but they're saving all of it, betting that one day they'll have a quantum computer that can crack it wide open. And here's the playbook. It's a long game. First, they harvest everything, your financial data, your private messages, top secret government communications. Then, they just store it all, which is super cheap to do. They sit and wait for what everyone's calling Q-Day, the day a powerful quantum computer arrives. And finally, boom, they can unlock a decade's worth of secrets all at once. This completely changes the game from a future problem to a very, very current data breach.
This comment from a discussion online just brings it right home. You know that secure banking website you logged into this morning? That private conversation you had? The encryption protecting that data has an expiration date, and the data itself might live forever. The clock isn't just ticking for the future, it's ticking on the data we are creating every single second.
So Google's new timeline has basically lit a fire under everyone. And what's really fascinating is to see how this high-stakes race is playing out across three totally different ecosystems. Google, of course, and then the two biggest blockchains in the world, Ethereum and Bitcoin.
This chart kind of gives you the whole story at a glance. You've got Google with its high centralized control, which lets it move incredibly fast. Then there's Ethereum, which has a certain amount of flexibility built into its design. And then you have Bitcoin, which, by its very nature, is built to move slowly with decentralized control, which is a feature, not a bug. But in this race, it's a huge challenge. Let's talk about Google's advantage for a second. It's simple, really. They own the entire playground, from the Chrome browser you're using to the Android phone in your pocket to their massive cloud servers. They can just force updates across their whole system. They don't need to ask permission or have a big debate. For them, it's a massive engineering problem, but it's not a political one.
But for the decentralized networks, it's a completely different story. They can't just push a button and update everything. They have to navigate this incredibly complex maze of getting everyone to agree, building consensus, and overcoming huge technical hurdles. So let's look at Ethereum. At first glance, it looks amazingly decentralized. It has almost 1 million active validators. But when you look closer, as this chart shows, things are a bit more concentrated. Just 4 big players, like Lido and Binance, control over 40% of all the staked Ether. Now, this is a real double-edged sword. It's a risk, for sure, but it also means if you can get those 4 on board, you can build some serious momentum for a big upgrade.
And the amount of money at stake here is just mind-boggling. We're talking over $7 billion locked in cross-chain bridges, and another $32 billion secured by Layer 2 networks, all of which rely on the fundamental security of Ethereum. This isn't just some academic problem. It's about protecting a live, multi-billion-dollar financial system. But this is where Ethereum has a really interesting ace up its sleeve compared to Bitcoin, its flexibility. There's a feature called account abstraction that basically lets users choose to upgrade their own security without forcing the entire network to change all at once. It's an opt-in model. Bitcoin, on the other hand,
is built to be rigid. Its governance is slow on purpose, which makes trying to coordinate a fast, system-wide security upgrade a monumental task. Now, when we get to Bitcoin, the scale of this problem is just staggering. Check out this number, 3.46 million. That's how many Bitcoins haven't been touched in more than a decade. And a huge chunk of those coins, maybe over 1.5 million, are in wallets where the keys are lost forever. That means they can never be moved to a new quantum-safe address. They are permanent sitting ducks.
And the challenges for Bitcoin just keep piling up. The network is so slow that just moving all the coins to new safe addresses could take over 300 days of the network doing literally nothing else. The first fixes being proposed are only partial solutions. In a full proper upgrade, the estimate is around 7 years, and that's assuming everyone can even agree to start right now.
All right, so let's play this out. What if Google's right? What if a quantum computer capable of breaking our current encryption really does show up around 2029? Well, the future would look dramatically different for each of these three players.
And this lays out that divergence perfectly. Come 2029, Google's entire ecosystem would probably be quantum safe. Ethereum would be somewhere in the middle of its migration. The core parts might be secure, but millions of regular user accounts would still be vulnerable. And Bitcoin? It would be lucky to be in the early stages of an upgrade, leaving billions and billions of dollars totally exposed.
This quote really gets to the absolute heart of the issue. It doesn't matter if you think Q-Day is probably in 2035 or 2040. When you're talking about security, you don't plan for the most likely outcome. You have to plan for the worst credible threat. And Google just put the world on notice that 2029 is now a very credible case.
So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? The real race isn't about finding one magical, perfect post-quantum algorithm and switching everything over. Because, let's be honest, that new algorithm might have its own problems we haven't discovered yet. The real goal is what's called crypto agility. It's about building our systems so that we can swap out our security standards easily as new threats emerge. In this new world, adaptability is security.
So Google has officially fired the starting gun. This race to a quantum-safe world isn't a theory anymore. It's a live, frantic engineering challenge with a deadline that is terrifyingly close. The question is no longer if we have to get this done, it's who is actually going to be ready when that clock hits zero.